Crazy.
That's
That crazy.
the best life ever.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Filipino Freethinkers podcast that's also a video. My name is Red.
I'm Pepe.
I'm Margie.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've done this, and speaking of things that's been taking a while to do, it's the RH law, and that's the topic that we're going to talk about today. So fortunately, it's already the turn of the government side, the pro-RH side, to give their arguments, and let's talk about the things that they've been arguing about. First of all, I think the main strategy that Hardaleza, the Solicitor General, has been taking is to remind the Supreme Court that it's the job of the Congress, of the legislators, to make the laws, and it's not the job of the Supreme Court to rewrite the laws.
Right.
I think that's his main contention. The process of passing the RH law, passing the RH bill, was a majoritarian process, and the job of the Supreme Court is to check whether there has been any grave indiscretion on the part of the legislators. And our side is arguing that there has been none. The Congress has made a wisdom call on whether the RH bill violates the Constitution. Of course, it's an assumption that all of these branches of government, they all know what's constitutional and what's not. So again, like the RH bingo set shows, here's a link wherever to the RH bingo. We already know all of the arguments that the anti-RH side has for us.
Yeah, like demographic winter. Contraception. What do you call this? Contraception leads to homosexuality and to what do you call this? Broken families and
Contraceptives cause homosexuality. I read something like that.
yeah, like you know, like there's this river somewhere in the States where they dump birth control pills in, and then the fish turn gay there. I don't know.
As if being gay was a bad thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, it tends to be the same group of people who have these non-scientific arguments that also has the very bigoted arguments. But in any case, the most popular of those arguments against the RH bill is that contraception equals abortion. Like one of the main points that the pro-RH side has is that this was brought up by Justice Carpio himself. He said that if you want to call the entirety of the RH law unconstitutional, the onus is on the other side to prove that all of the contraceptives listed there are indeed abortifacient. Yeah, because if there exists just one contraceptive that is not abortifacient, then the RH law can be called constitutional, and the SQA can be lifted. And I think it's about time that the government put its foot down and asked for the Supreme Court to lift the SQA. More and more lives of women, mothers, daughters are being taken away because of the lack of an RH law, and that has to stop. So I think we can expect more of these arguments. Thankfully, the arguments that we'll be hearing, like from the lawyers from now on, will be very good because they're on the side of passing of the RH law being implemented finally. And there will also be some legislators and who will be arguing for the RH law.
Yeah, it's actually pretty refreshing because for all this time that we've been fighting for the RH bill's passage, before it was a law, for the most part we were just listening to anti-RH arguments. This is the first time that I've actually heard a lot of pro-RH people publicly stating their side, like being given a voice for once, and it's really nice to hear.
Yeah, one can only take so much of Noche or Liban giving their old tired arguments again and again, and you can see it on the faces of the justices even. Like I've mentioned several times on Twitter that I saw Sereno herself doing double face palms several times, like trying to explain very simple points to the anti-RH legislators.
It's just a classic case of a noisy minority.
Right.
We've been hearing so much of the anti-RH side, because they're really the ones who are just noisy,
talk a lot,
just want to, they're so against this law, but there's not a lot of them, right?
Yeah.
The polls show even majority of Catholics agree with passing the RH bill.
Right.
So
Yeah. Speaking of that, I remember Liban saying that he's not really trying to defend the majority of Catholics. He's only trying to defend the doctrinal or the true Catholics, according to him. Because if you are pro-RH, according to Liban, you are definitely not a true Catholic. And
well, that's the thing. Like, if you've been reading our website, we have one of our latest articles is Garrick Berceros. What's the title, Garrick?
the title, I think,
He's
is...
panicking behind the camera.
will the RH law restrict religious freedom?
Yeah, violate religious freedom.
And one of the most quotable quotes there, I mean, I'm just going to like ad-lib this. If Seventh-day Adventists don't go out of their way to enlist in the military, and if Jehovah's Witnesses don't go out of their way to work at blood banks, then why should true Catholics insist on working as
in the medical field, as pharmacists or as doctors or as
health workers.
Health workers.
Yeah, it's a very interesting article. We won't talk about it further. I trust that you will trust us that it's a good article that you should read. And like I said, there's a lot more rational arguments about the RH bill that will be heard on the next Tuesday, I think, the next hearing.
Who's up next?
Aside from the Solicitor General, there will be like lawyers on our side, like Attorney Florian Hilbay, I think.
Oh, cool.
And even legislators, like I mentioned earlier, like Pia Cayetano, and even Edse Lagman himself will also be there to defend the RH bill. So that's something to look forward to. And but enough of the RH SQA discussion for now. So I want to talk about one of the messages that one of our members sent to us recently. And he or she, because we're being respectful of this person's privacy
And gender identity.
and gender identity. So this person, Romel he was actually asking us for advice. So this is one of the first times we'll be doing this publicly. We have replied to several messages like this in private. But I think this is a common question from some of our members. So this person, he no longer subscribes fully to his Catholic faith. And he says that he doesn't know whether he's an atheist or agnostic. But what he does know is that he no longer wants to attend church. But unfortunately, he still lives under the roof of his parents. I say under the roof of his parents because that's a common call or a common trump card that parents usually bring up, especially in Filipino culture. As long as you still live under my roof, we'll play under my rules. So what should this person do? I'll ask you now, like, what will you guys do if you were in the same situation?
Well, I am of the persuasion. I tend to be more proactive, I guess, in these kinds of situations. And if I do have the means to, I would move and have my own place, be independent. But if you cannot do that, I insist still on standing your ground and saying that you are. I assume that Romel is an adult already, or how old is he?
Okay, let's call him Romel. Or
Oh, okay.
I don't know if.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. It's not Romel, obviously. But yeah, let's call this hypothetical person.
Okay.
Actual person.
Hypo Romel.
Hypoallergenic Romel.
Yes. If he's of legal age, then he has every right to do whatever he wants. I mean, his parents don't have the responsibility to take care of him anymore, so he can do what he wants, and he'll have to take shit for it. But if this is what makes him happier, in the end, it will really pay off there.
And if you're of legal age, though, you think that coming out to your parents would put your shelter at risk. If you're of legal age, they're not really bound by law to shelter you anymore.
That's true. But so, of course, in our culture,
yeah,
it's the norm.
But in our culture, it's a norm. But so long as if you're still dependent and or not of legal age yet, I would say na you have to weigh the risk. It may vary greatly from family to family. Certain families are more lenient with or tolerant of non-believers. Other families are very strict. So you have to find where in that spectrum your family lies. And if the risk is too high, I would suggest maybe laying low until you feel more more independent. But until then, I would suggest just play under the rules, and life is compromise.
Yeah, I mean, if you really have to go to church, you can make a game of it. Like, I don't know, you can listen to what the priest has to say and try to figure out which parts you agree with and which parts you don't. It's very educational.
In other words, like, do what every other Catholic does. Like, cherry pick the things that you agree with.
Yeah. Go into it like an anthropologist.
Yeah. Yeah, on my part, I would suggest that you just lay your cards on the table. Like, we've heard very positive stories from other members who have said that their parents took it a lot better than they expected. You'll never really know unless you do that
go for
thing.
it, yeah.
And the sooner your parents know what you really believe, the more they're clear about where you stand on the religion issue, the sooner they'll get used to it. It's a difference that families will have to get used to. And the sooner you come out with it, the sooner that you come out, the better it will be. Because if there are wounds that will be caused by this coming out, then those wounds will heal sooner. And you don't have to suffer. You just have to be respectful when you tell them the truth about your beliefs, and you have to remind them that you love them. And maybe this is also an opportunity for more clarity to happen between you and your parents. They might try to convince you to go back to church. There's nothing wrong with that. You might believe their reasons. You might not. But it's a continuing conversation. And who says that families have to be perfect and not have arguments? So it's just like any other argument. Although I like Pepe said, I agree that some families put more value on religion than others. But in the end, on my part, I think integrity, your personal integrity, is the most important thing. Like, it's your life to live, and your parents will have to understand that at some point, and this might as well be that point. So I think that's enough for today's episode of the Filipino Freethinkers podcast. That's also a video. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time.
Bye.
Bye.